Yeah, we've traveled and recovered physically. Had a good training session today in Minnesota, and so we'll have plenty of time until tomorrow evening to prepare for a team who's very good at home, a team that's tough to beat, um, and is also fighting for playoffs. So we expect a very tight game tomorrow, but for both teams, there's a lot on the line, and we'll be ready for the match.
Thank you, Steve. We'll go ahead and start with questions from Dave Denholm.
Hey Steve, how does the red card and the kind of the rotation anyway? Does that change anything of what you were going to do in terms of the rotation of players, things like that?
Sure, it's unfortunate, and it can have an effect on what we do. Yeah, it's just a little unfortunate. The red card, you get punished twice. You play for over 90 minutes with 10 guys, and you lose one for the next game too. So it was a harsh call, in our opinion, and we'll deal with the consequences.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Go ahead, Justin Ruderman.
Hi, Steve. You've obviously now lost 4 games in a row on the road. Is that something that you've discussed with the team in an effort to turn it around in Minnesota, or do you just move on from those losses and try and prepare for this game like any other away match?
I don't believe in streaks, especially not when we're talking about long streaks and you combine seasons. And so you either believe in talking in those terms, or you do not. That's not something I do discuss with the group. I think each game has its own story, and each game is explainable. Certainly, a couple of performances were not good, namely San Jose and Austin. The other performances were just fine. Houston, and of course in Dallas. There was nothing wrong with those performances. I think on a different day, especially in Dallas with 11 men, I think we come away with a win.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Benjamin Vergan.
Hi, Steve. I wanted to ask about Giorgio and how he's doing physically after 2 straight games going the full 90. How do you balance keeping someone of his quality on the field with maybe managing his workload a little bit? Thank you.
By assessing it day to day, he knows his body very, very well, and we are communicating with him. He is healthy.
Go ahead, Celso.
Hey, Coach. Good talking to you again. Question about Garrett and his role with the team so far. Has there been conversations with him and, of course, among the coaching staff about what his role is and what it should be? And do you feel like he would benefit from a starting role and a little bit of continuity there?
Well, I apologize. I won't be able to answer your question completely. I will not comment on conversations we have in our coaching staff, especially with players. But of course, we speak to players, and Gareth is one of the players. And how each player's role is defined within the group is up to the players. And everybody is here to help, and everybody has contributed and helped. And we will move forward with the same demeanor.
Great. And if I could have one more in terms of the fullbacks and how they've been deployed. Of course, it's a big part of how LAFC attacks. And has there been any concerns as far as, in terms of what has happened on the road, and how do you adjust in terms of, how the fullbacks are utilized, if anything?
I'm not sure what you mean with what's happened on the road, but we will have solutions. And we have a fantastic roster and plenty of good players. And there are many ways to attack in this game, not just on the flanks, but also through the middle. And we will have solutions for tomorrow's match.
Great. Best of luck. Look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
Next question from Josh Gross.
Thanks. I wanted to follow up a little bit on left back. What are your options? Would you consider starting Kellen in that role in Minnesota? And how do you feel about sort of walking into this match without having Diego and without having Ryan?
I won't discuss options right now. I just have to wait like everybody else, Josh, tomorrow. But we have options, and like I said, there are many ways to approach this game, and we'll find the best one for the squad to come away with 3 points.
And because Austin has been scuffling a little bit, they've lost every match since they defeated you. Did that relieve some of the pressure that you may have felt considering the 4 losses out of 5? Again,
We don't really think in streaks. We've been approaching this the entire season. I think you can find about 1 billion sound bites from me. We're focused on the next game at hand, and that has always been our approach, and it will always be our approach. And this is what this game is all about as well. It's the next game. The next game is always your most important, and for us, Minnesota is the most important game of the season.
Last one for me, if I could. Other than Houston, all these teams that you're playing are potential playoff opponents. That they're right in the hunt for that. How much do you take away from the experience of playing them at this time of the year, with the potential understanding of what you may face in the postseason?
Yeah, it's incredibly important. It's hard to re-identify yourself at this stage in the season. So what you see now is to 90% what you'll see in the playoffs. And so these matchups are important.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Josue Lopez.
Thank you, Crystal. Hi, Steve. Thank you for speaking to us as always. Wondering about Christian Tello, if he is physically ready to play tomorrow, and what does he fit on this season? Is he on the front 3 attack, or he can play as an attacking midfielder?
Christian is an attacker, and that's where we see him, and that's what will help this team. He is fit and ready to go.
Last question from Rodrigo Serrano.
Hey Steve, thank you for taking the time. The decision not to start Gareth Bale more often than has one start, is that tactically because of the system that you guys play? Because in his first start, he didn't fit that well with Carlos and Chicho. Is that something that you, as a decision not to start him more often?
Every game's decisions and the factors we have leading into our decision making to who's starting and who's coming from the bench, one affects the other and vice versa. And we approach every game differently.